Hello and welcome. My name's Neil and my handle is Wally11. And let me start by saying that everything I do and say on these videos, I accept no liability whatsoever. So if you're following along trying to do something or take some of the advice I've offered, you do so entirely at your own risk. This is my attempt to give back to YouTube for the help and assistance that YouTube has given me, and I'm trying to be careful. If I slip up, then, I'm human, and you'll have to forgive me for that. So, yeah, that's what this is. This is well-intentioned and well-meaning advice, and you follow along entirely at your own risk. And if you're not wanting to do that, then by all means click this off and off you go. Thanks for tuning in. Good morning, welcome back. Yeah, yet again I've been talking for a couple of minutes into an empty camera. All right, I just want to make it absolutely clear that once you've gotten rid of a credit card, or once you've gotten rid of any kind of a monthly payment, like if it's a car payment, a washing machine payment, a store payment, whatever that money was that you were paying into that. Now, if you've still got credit card, it's quite all right to roll it into paying that credit card. So if you were paying 200 this credit card, 200 that credit card, 200 that credit card, and that credit card's gone, it's now 300 and 300, and if that one's gone, it's now 600, right, until that credit card's gone, or until you've got your personal loan situation, whichever one we've discussed. As you go into this video, you're going to find that there's more things. But what I want to tell you to do is anywhere you can make a saving, anytime, like if your grocery bill was normally $300 and we've got that down to 150, that 150 bucks doesn't go off. It goes into the slush fund, right? So every time we make a saving on a payment, it goes into that slush fund. So if you're putting $5 a week in, now you're putting $20 a week in, now you're putting $50 a week in. Whatever the number is, you don't go fritter it away. You need that money. You need that for something that's coming down the road. So I want to make you absolutely certain that you're being responsible with your saving, and you're putting all that money into that. You've both got a sign for account. Okay. I just wanted to absolutely point that out. So once you've got that account up and running, anytime you've followed some advice and you've got that happening, make absolutely certain that the money's going into the slush fund, into everything that you can scrape together into the slush fund, right? And once it's in there, you don't touch it. You don't take it out unless you've absolutely, if something, like if the dog needs a vet, okay, that's the slush fund money. You got to take the dog to the vet, slush fund money, because you don't budget taking the dog to the vet. You don't budget for the car to break down and you need the car, slush fund money, right? Understand those ones, and you both got to be able to sign. They're things that legitimately you pull money out of your slush fund for. But you don't pull money out of a slush fund so you can go for a trip to the beach. You don't do that, right? It's not because Auntie Esther's coming into town and you need to take her to dinner. You don't pull money out of a slush fund for that. Auntie Esther can eat at your place. She can eat out of the cupboard like the rest of you, or she can bloody bugger off and buy her own dinner. And you know what I'm saying? You can't afford this shit. So don't be frittering this money away. It goes into that slush fund. And, that's really, really important that you get that money going into that account. Very, very important. We're going to talk about that in a future video. But if just for now, if you can just do that, do that. Can't do that, do it anyway. Get the money going. Get the money going. Okay? Put it into that slush fund. Get it into the credit cards. Get it into the slush fund. Get rid of the credit cards. Get it into the slush fund. Now, if you can get rid of those credit cards, you're home and hosed halfway. Suddenly you're not relying on, because you've got money in that slush fund that you can rely on, and it's there. It's there to be relied on. Okay, it's emergency money, and this is where you use it. And like if someone comes home and they haven't got a job anymore, and you've got 3 or 4 weeks that you've got it tied, then you've got money in and you can use that to get you through. You can get through 3 to 4 weeks with that money. Right, so that's it. I just wanted to spell that out. Every spare cent you've got into the slush fund. And you can call it the slush fund, you can call it the emergency fund, you can call it, you know, I don't touch it fund. You can call it anything you like. Just don't touch it. Righto. So I needed to spell that out. Okay. And if, you know, again, if you say, well, oh, no, you put it in under a mattress or something, again, don't chuck it under a mattress. Don't chuck it in a drawer, in a sock drawer. Don't do it. Put it in the account. If you can't touch it, you're not tempted. Okay. I've said enough. I need to get out the door and go somewhere. I've got to go to the doctor's this morning, in fact. So it's getting late. I've got to get going. Right, thanks for watching. Still got the cold, but it's getting there. Fantastic news. My favourite coffee cup got washed up. And even better news, we actually went and raided $50 out of our emergency account yesterday to get us through to payday. And so I was able to buy 1 packet of my favourite coffees. So my favourite coffees are back. My 30-cent caramel latte, there it is. Cheers. Now, this session is going to be on budgeting. And I want to talk to you about relying on the credit card to get you through to the next payday. We used to do that. You know, when you live at a fast pace and, you know, you've got all this stuff going on in your life, you've got all these demands on your time. Some of you got kids that demand to get taken to places. You've got to go to the soccer and you've got to go to the school and the play and the mate's place, and, you know, your mum's taxi and dad's taxi and whatever. And on top of all that, you've got friends, you know, why haven't we seen you? And, you know, let's go have some tea and, you know, let's eat out and let's do all these things. And so, you know, you end up spending all this money on running around and just being social. It's hard to make decisions that sometimes you've got to say no, right? But sometimes you've got to do that, you know. If someone wants to go to a fancy restaurant, if they're friends of yours, and there's, you know, there might be 4 or 5 couples going, and you really want to go, you know, you like these people, and we've got that. We've got lots of people that we like. And they're saying, well, let's go to Shay, you know, and Mr. Shay's going, hey, look at these guys coming, yeah, yuppies, money. You know, I'm not saying Mr. Shay does that. Okay, let me get that straight. If you're charging money for a product or service and you're providing that to the best of your ability, then I don't begrudge you what you charge. You know, if you're doing your best and you're giving it your all and you're in there swinging, yep, no problem. I don't begrudge you. Like, if you're the top restaurant, you earned that. You know, you got there through hard work and you earned that. And Mr. Shay is entitled to these ones, but he's going, beauty, we're full, you know, and he knows he's got a good business and he's happy. But if you're in there to Mr. Shay, you know, doing, and you're doing this one, you're going, here's my credit card, you know, and Mr. Bank Manager's going, hey, let that thing go, you know, you're feeding the bank, you know, you're feeding the bank, and you know, you're feeding more than your family, you're feeding the bank, and you can't afford that. And you haven't got a little slush fund that you can dig into to go to the restaurant and then put it back when you get paid, then you know, you're digging into your credit card. And we used to do that, you know, and we don't do that anymore. We actually took our credit cards. We made a decision. We sat down, we had a long talk. We grabbed every credit card we had and we went, you see those things over there? Best invention ever for credit cards. You know, those ones. You chop them and you throw them away and you never use them again. Now that's one of the hardest decisions you'll ever make. And what happens is little Johnny, little Susie, she comes up, you know, we've got to play. Well, you know, they need a costume for the play, and you run to the costume shop and you hand that one over and you get a costume, and little Johnny and little Susie are happy. They got their costumes. And the bank manager's there, yep, beauty, yep, thank you. You know, you can't do that. You got to go look around and find out what you've got in the cupboards, and you got to make those costumes. You know, you got to go through what you got, and maybe you got a sewing machine sitting in the cupboard that's, you know, you pull it out. Oh shit, I didn't even know I had that. We had sewing machines, but we used to go buy things. Maybe it's the restaurant, and maybe say, look guys, I'd love to go spend $300 at the restaurant, but why don't we just do a barbecue at our place this weekend, and you can all come over, and that'll cost you $100 in gear, and just BYO, just bring whatever you want, just bring it, you know, just do it as a BYO. Don't be too proud to say you can't afford to do something to your friends. Now, if your friends don't understand that, well, they can bugger off. You know, they're not your friends. Oh no, we need you there. Well, are you going to pay for it? No. Well, we're not coming. You know, you can need us there all you like, you know, but at the end of the day, you got to start thinking to make decisions that are within your means. And we've taken these decisions. It took us a long time to figure out that we were actually feeding a lot of our friends. You know, we used to have friends that rock up and they say, "G'day, I just rocked up for a bit of tea." And we'd go, "All right, hey, have a bit of tea. There's a couple of places." 2 months later, they're back for another tea. Have a plate, you know. Another week, they're back again. And it's like, shit, mate, what's going on? You know. And I'd take him aside and say, "Listen, mate, what's going on? Are you on hard times? What's the story?" And he'd say, and it'd come out, "Yes, we are." All right, fair enough. He's on hard times. If I've got a job I can give him, I don't feed him, right? You got to stop feeding friends. But if I can put him into a job, I'll put him into a job, or I'll steer him into a job that I know about. I know such and such is hiring. Now he says, "Oh, but I'm already working 3 jobs." What? You can't afford to feed yourself? No. And what you find is you get in deeper that he's got a gambling problem or a drinking problem or whatever. And if he's a mate, you go into it with him. And if he's not a mate, thanks for coming, right? You got to make hard decisions about your money. You can't be doing these ones. You can't be handing credit cards over. You can't, every time you sit down for a coffee, you know, this is 30-cent coffee. Now, I love these things. Oh, that's hot. Oh, hang on, I've got to get into it again. Let me show you something. The best thing you can do, right? This is something. This really is something. Now, up here, somewhere amongst all this stuff, see what I can find. Here we go. We went to this, we like dancing, you know, and we went to this dance class. And the first night it cost us $5 each. And we thought, beauty, $5 each for dance, that's $10. And that's entertainment, and it's exercise, and it cost us $10 for the 2 of us. And they gave us these cards, and we were, oh, beauty, and they signed us up. And yep, beauty, mate. The next week we went, and they asked us for $30, and it was like, hang on, $30. What happened to $10? It's now $30. Oh yeah, next week it'll be 60. What? So let's pretend that's a credit card. Oh, this is the best feeling in the world. We're never going back to this place, right? Here you go. Oh, there's not enough pieces there for me to keep going. Look at that. All right, never again going back to that place. Best feeling ever. There's a bin down here. Look at that. All those bits in the bin. There you go. We like using that. You got any more of them? Oh, I love doing that. Best invention for credit cards ever. Geez, those got a bit grotty, haven't they? The tool maintenance. Time to do a bit of... What happens? We live near the beach, and the salt gets into things, and you get this. And if you don't clean it off, you end up with a rusty pair of scissors. They're good scissors. Put them back. Best feeling ever, right? Do those ones. Take every single one that's in your wallet and do that. And nowadays, right? Nowadays, what they've done is they give you these little phone apps where you don't need the card anymore. You can do it on your phone. Well, you know what I do with the app? Yeah. Where's that delete button, mate? Delete. Delete it off your phone. Don't have it. Don't be tempted. If temptation's not there, you're not doing it. Now, some of you in a position where, with your lifestyle we are, you can't just do that, right? And I accept and admire and appreciate that. But do it to one. Just take one and throw it. You know, just one. You've probably got 3 of them or 4 of them. And it's like, oh, shit, please go through, please go. And Miss Bain, yeah, don't you worry, mate, we're going to put you through. You know, I know you're over your limit. Oh, look at the interest we're going to charge him. You know, whack. You know, just don't do it. Just make decisions that help you get out of where you are. Now, let's talk about $5 a week. $5 a week. How much is $5 a week with you know, out of your pay packet? Well, let's think about that. What Leonie and I did was, you know, despite anything and everything else, as soon as that money comes into our like we get paid from the government and Leonie gets her pay packet, as soon as we've got our money, $5 goes into we went and saw our bank manager and we opened a new account. And we said, we don't want any cards on this account. We don't want anything on this account, right? I want to have to come into this bank and both of us be here and we both sign, you know, and it can only be done on a bit of paper and a driver's license and IDs and shit. We both got to walk in and sign, both to sign, you know, which means we've both got to agree that the money needs to be spent. Now, if you start making that decision, straight away about 30 to 40% of your spending is going to disappear. Make a decision that you really do need to spend this money. But we opened this account and we opened it with a $10 note. We said, well, how much are you putting in this? You know, he's going, beauty. Oh, thousands coming. Oh, here's $10. There you go. And we opened the account. Now, he's like, what do you mean $10? You know, oh, well, we just want a normal account where we don't want anything. We don't want superannuation benefits or, you know, we don't want any of that shit. We just want an account, a standard banking account. We don't want any cards. We just want to be able to do that. There you go. There's the withdrawal slip. And you know, we don't want to be able to take out of it on the internet, but we want to be able to put into it on the internet, but not take out of it. Now your bank will set that up. They don't mind receiving money from you. They don't mind at all. And I don't care if it's $5, $10, or $1 million. They don't care. They just want money. And they'll happily take your $5 and lend it out at 50% interest. You know, they don't care. Oh, coffee time. Ooh, it's a cold day. It's overcast and rainy. It's a horrible day out there. Now, let me talk to you about the decision we made to take $50 out of our emergency account. Every week, $5 goes into this account and it doesn't get touched. Now, that account's grown to something like $500 since we started it. And all we're doing is putting $5 a week into it. So that tells you how long it's been since we started that account. Now that $500 is what tides us over to the next payday, right? If we just get something, emergency hits us or whatever, we go to that $500 and we both agree that we need to spend. And yesterday we went and spent $50 of it because payday's 2 days away. And tonight, I've got to go up to Brisbane. I'm looking for a job, and there's this big networking event. Now, I don't feel like going to this. I've got this bloody cold and it's freaking miserable out there. And I could just as easily say, look, and blow it off. But I've got to get a train up to Brisbane. I've got to have some money. There's an obligatory coffee at that event. You're going to have to buy a coffee, minimum. So I said to her, look, well, I'm going to need like $20. I'm going to need some train fare, and I'm going to need to buy a coffee, And she's like, well, what's the point of that? And I said, well, this is the point of that. I might get a job, and if I get a job, so much good stuff happens, So it's a bit of an each way bet. I either walk out with a good lead on a job, or I walk out with nothing. But I'm betting that there's going to be someone there that I can walk up to and say, look, give me a job. And he's going to go, okay, here you go, have a job. I just need 2 years under my belt, under supervision, and then I can move from there. But I've got to go for, I can't even do a business on it on my own without employing somebody, for like $500,000 a year, thereabouts. I've got to pay them that sort of money in order to get them so that I can get my qual and get $500,000 a year. Once I've got it, I can earn that kind of money. I'm giving this advice away for free. Once again, like anything I'm saying in these videos, this is just lifestyle advice that I'm giving out. And this is what we did to eliminate our debt. And we eliminated it. The only debt I have is my HECS debt that I owe the government for my schooling. And I'll pay that back as quick as I can pay it back once I've got my job. And until then, it's interest free. I don't have to pay anything till I get a job. So it's not accumulating interest. And it's a bloody brilliant system here in Australia. Once upon a time, it was free. I could have got that training, but I had to show things that I could do the job, And it wasn't my area of interest when I was younger. Had I done it when I was younger, who knows where I'd be. And I'm not going to dwell on that because I'm happy with the decision I took. I had a lot of things. I lost a lot of things, but I had them. And I'm not dwelling on any of that. My life changed. If you haven't seen my first video, you go back and watch my first video, right? My welcome one. My life changed, and if you want to change your life, and I'm not saying go find God, and I'm not saying become a hermit or a hippie or any of that stuff. I'm saying make a decision, right? That's all I'm saying. If you want to change your life, make a decision. And make it here, make a commitment to it. Now, today, the topic of this is going to be credit cards and how you can kill them. The best invention for a credit card is those things right there. I've got 2 pairs just in case I don't, if I'm not tempted to use the first pair, I'll use. In fact, I've got a 3rd pair. I don't know if you can see it, but over there on a nail, somewhere over there. Yeah, you can just see it with that. That's another pair of scissors. It's hanging on a nail. I've actually got 3 pairs of scissors. It says a lot about, because I hate scrambling around for a pair, and they're always sharp and they're always in good nick. Excuse me. Oh, where am I? Oh, excuse me a sec. That's the cold coming back at me. Time for another sip of this. Beautiful. Isn't this the best thing ever? This cup of coffee cost me, I worked out it cost me about 30 cents. It's hot. 30 cents. Now tonight I'm going to go have one that's probably lukewarm. It's going to taste great. It's going to be in a paper cup. It's going to be lukewarm. And it's probably going to cost me $5. Now the reason we took 50 out is we spent $30 on food. And $20 for me, right? And we needed to spend that because the cupboard was empty of meat, and we just made that decision that we'd tide ourselves over to payday with that. And I'll put that back in when I get paid. So that $50 goes, the first thing I do is I pay in 55, right? Got to put me $5 and I've got to put the 50 back. And that just means that we've robbed Peter to pay Paul. And a lot of you doing that, and we've done that, and we're still doing it because you just, Like this opportunity, I've known about it and I should have put a bit away, but look, the fact was I just completely forgot it. And now it's here and I'm like, oh shit, I've got to go to this thing. I can't tell you how many times I've put something into this, right? An event. I put it into the calendar in this, and it's just gone off into the ether and never to be seen again. You know, I don't know where they go, but you can't rely on these things, right? What you can rely on are these things. They're a lot cheaper to run than these, right? They cost bugger all. They cost about, 30, 40 cents each. And you can see here, it's got my name on it. It's got my phone number on it. If you open up the front cover, and as I do things, I tear them out. I don't keep them. I tear them out, and if I have to keep them, I keep them in a little, like a stapled thing, and I put them away. Like if there's an important note on there that I've dealt with, and it's got a date, I sign it off and I keep it and staple it to there's a lot of these things, and it kind of forms a diary of a professional diary. The best little gadget ever invented is that. It can't go off into the ether. It's in your pocket. You know where it is. It's right here. I've got a couple of spares up there as well. I buy them in a little bundle of 5 or 6. Excuse me again. I'm going to sneeze. Righto. So I committed to this thing. I agreed that I was going to, I was going to do it. This networking event tonight. I registered for it. And I need to be there. It doesn't matter that I feel like crap. Excuse me again. I hate feeling sick. Even worse, I've given this to Mrs. Wiley. She's now got it. I tried my best not to do that, but you can't avoid it sometimes. And I don't get flu shots. I hate feeling like a crook. Nose is starting to run like a tap. Look, I might just pause this for a few minutes. My nose is going stupid. I just want to deal with these and I'll come back. Right, so I'm back. Look, it's hard to make some of these decisions that you have to make. I'm giving it to you the way it is, right? I'm telling it to you like it is. You got to think about if you go out and all you've got left are your credit cards. Do you really need to make that? Do you really need to do it? Now, you got to wonder where all your cash is going, if that's the case. And if you haven't seen series 1 of this budgeting thing, you need to get into that. You need to start doing the Bulldog clips and collecting your receipts and just chucking them in the Bulldog clips. And you need to get an idea of where all your money's going. It absolutely amazed us when we pulled our first lot, and we didn't do it with Bulldog clips. I was tracking our spending as we were spending it using an app that I wrote. And it was a little spend tracker app that I put in both Leonie's and my phones. And what we were doing was, every time we spent anything, we were putting it in the phone. I got this skill. I'm actually a bit of an IT guru. And a spend tracker app is actually a really good idea. And it's something that probably but there's probably a gazillion of them there. I don't know. I might look and see, like, it has a really bad user interface because it was just built real quick and ready for Leonie and I. And once I showed her how to use it, she was like, oh, yeah, right, okay. But essentially what I had was a drop down that said food, water, whatever, and the drop down and how many dollars you spent. That was all it was. And we kept the receipts and we gave it a serial number. And we wrote the little serial number on the receipt. So then we'd go through and make sure that every receipt we had a serial number on it, that it was in my little system. And then you know, all the receipts went in their serial number batch, and we spent that food, and we'd go and we'd look up the receipt, and then we'd work out what we spend food on. And what we found was that we were spending, like, junk food was a big thing. It gave you energy. It tasted good and it gave you energy. So we were buying things like energy bars. Now, I don't know if you've ever looked. Don't get me wrong, energy bars are good once in a while. But I was living on the bloody things. I was having 10 of these things a day, you know. And that's not good for you. I'll tell you now. 10 energy bars a day is not good for you. If you're having 2 or 3 a day, fair enough. But I was having 10 a day. I was having, 15 cups of coffee a day. And I was buying them. I was $5. Bang, bang, bang. It was $50 just on coffee. We were spending money like, we had it. Don't get me wrong. We had money. And we were spending it. And as fast as it was coming in, the bank manager goes, yeah. Every time. Yeah. The most happy fellow that I ever met was my bank manager, mate. Every time. Do you know something? The day that they took the keys off us, when we lost everything, we lost everything. The bloke with the biggest smile on his face was the bank manager, because he got paid out. He was wrapped up in legal documents as high as the frickin' Eiffel Tower, and we had to pay everybody. And I made the decision to sell, and I didn't go into bankruptcy. I made the decision to sell, and we sold our home, and we paid everything that we owed out. The first thing we did was pay everything that we owed. If you could prove you owed it, we paid it. We had a couple of shonks in there too that said we owed money that didn't. No, I knew that I'd paid one guy. He came back. He was in there with his hand out for more, and I said, no, you got paid. He said, yeah, but you didn't pay this. I said, well, I didn't incur that liability. And you'll get people like that too, that they reckon you owe them, and you don't. You got to make sure that they can back up what they're telling you. And then he went back and checked it. Oh, no, I made a mistake. Yeah, you did pay. I said, yeah, I know I paid you. I said, I bloody know I paid you, And because he was taking advantage of the pressure, that's all he was doing. He was hoping I was going to pay him twice. And there's shonks out there, and you think they're all smiles and happy, and while you're paying them, they're all these ones. And see, you're not paying them. The second you don't pay them, they're these ones, And you stop going to their place. Why haven't we seen you? You haven't been around. You haven't spent all your money in our place. Well, guess what? I don't have it to spend, A lot of those people aren't in our life anymore. And the reason is because we're not paying them any money. Okay? We're not throwing the parties at the backyard that everyone's rocking up to. I can tell you that I'm a decent cook on a barbie, and Sunday was a bit of a tradition. We just opened the frickin' front yard. We went to church, and we'd come home, and the first thing that happens, I'd go fire up the barbie out the back under the pergola, and we had this huge pergola. Right, it was a covered pergola, and we could happily accommodate about 80 people under that thing. No problem. We had bench seating around the place, and then we had a bit of a yard in front of it where the kids would go play tiggy and shit. And I'd be cooking and drinking me beers, and I'd start with pancakes. And then if you haven't done pancakes on a barbecue, let me tell you, pancakes on a barbecue, yum. Right? And I did the most magnificent, and I'd just be doing them because I was a bit, had the fresh honey and pancakes. And I'd just be doing honey over pancakes and just handing them out. And people would rock up. They wouldn't bring anything. They'd just rock up and eat all the food, and then they'd leave. And then you'd been cooking all day. You'd cook steaks and snags and sausages and God knows what. And all these freeloaders are gone. And you look around, there's just shit everywhere. There's dishes, and no one was helping to washing up, And Leonie and I in the kitchen till, they'd all piss off about 6 o'clock. Leonie and I in the kitchen and cleaning up and shit until, 8 o'clock. 2 hours to clean it all up. And not one of those people would, like you look around today, where are they? Not one of them are here. Not one of them is standing there, you're right, mate, I'll give you a hand. Now, the true mates are there. There's a couple of mates giving me a hand. But you got to look at it from this point of view. anything that's committing you and stressing you or putting pressure on you, is it really worth that cost? That's really what you've got to look at. So let's say, I don't know, let's say you're in a footy club, right? Let's say you're in a footy club. I've been in lots of footy clubs over my life. And I can tell you that being in that club, you got a coach, yep, okay. And you give your time up and you go coach the kids. But that's fine. I don't, and maybe your kids are in it and whatever, and you're giving up a bit of time to do a bit of coaching. Or maybe all you're doing is cutting the oranges and and handing out the drinks and whatever, and you're putting your time into it. Then they come to you and say, oh, there's a big Barbie and look, it's for charity, but it's like $50, and you're thinking, far east, $50. Yeah, but you do it because it's for the kids, right? Okay, $50, here you go. You know what? When we lost our house, not one of the blokes from those clubs offered to come and help us move our furniture. Not one. Not one person came around and said, oh, heard you lost your house. Oh, what can I do to help? Not one. Not one. And there was 15, 20 odd years of different organisations I was involved in. Not one of those people bothered to pick up a telephone and say, oh, hey, how you tracking? Not one. Yeah, it's a bit raw. But all those people, goodbye. See ya. Yeah, they're out of there. They're gone. You gotta set up connections in your life. That are true. That they've got this going on. They've got this connection. Now in dancing, there's a few people there that they're genuine people. And I've got a few mates from dancing. Leonie and I, if you don't know, we like dancing tango and we like dancing salsa, and it's good exercise and we both love it. So we go to the tango and we go to the salsa. And it's fine and up outside. I'll be able to ride Zoomy up the train station. That's good. You got to assess genuineness in people. And I didn't do a good job of that in my whole life. I had so many people use me. Now I know that they're using me, and I make a decision. Well, what does it hurt? Because like this kid's if that bloke's using me, but that kid's getting a benefit from it. I can't tell you the number of children that I've influenced in a positive way because I coached them, right? I can't tell you. And a lot of those kids would remember me. Maybe not, I don't know. Like, when I coached the basketball, I used to play basketball as a kid. And when I coached the basketball, I took the kids that no one else wanted to coach, right? I took all the problem kids. And I can tell you that, you'd rock up, to coaching after work, and it'd be from like 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, right? And it was on a Thursday night. And what had happened is mum had dropped the kid, or dad had dropped the kid with me at 6 o'clock and rock up at 9:30 after the shopping was finished to pick him up. Now, sorry, it was 6 o'clock start. So, they were supposed to pick him up at 6 to 7, right? And some of those kids at 7 o'clock, there's no sign of their parents, right? And their parents were doing it tough, and they were using me as the babysitter. And I'd be there from 7 o'clock till 9:30, 10 o'clock sometimes until the shopping was finished, and then they'd rock up at 10 o'clock to pick their kid up from basketball. Now I couldn't just lock the place and go. I'd have to stay there with those kids, and that's commitment, and I did that. But none of those people, none of those parents picked up a phone and said, oh, Neil, I hear you on hard times. None of them. But those kids knew that I wasn't going to let them down, you know. And I can't tell you the number of times I had a kid come to training and he was in tears, you know, just absolutely crying because he'd been bullied at school or because he's, you know, he just wasn't cutting it, something else. And I'd pick him up and put him on his feet and dust him off and say, look, don't focus on that. Let's focus on training and we'll have a yarn afterwards, you know. I do that with my own bloke, you know, young Chris, like, I love him to bits and you know, I'd do anything for him. I'm tearing up. When you give of yourself, you give all of yourself. You don't just, you know, everything is a commitment, everything. And provided you've got a support network that you can do that, do it. But if you don't have that support, and you've taken it, you can, you know, you can slide really low. Just let me adjust this a little bit. With your budget, it's a big part of that. If you haven't got money in your pocket, if you can't open your wallet up and pull one of those out, right? If you can't do that and know that that's yours, you earned that, right? Every bit of that is mine. And Leonie's, half of it's hers, half of it's mine, right? And she's got hers, and I got mine. This one's mine. And when I open my wallet and I pull that out, I know that, you know, I don't have to think twice about, I've got to pay a bank manager when I hand that over, because I don't. I've got to pay the government, but as soon as I can, I'll get rid of that. It's once I've got my job, that the first thing that's going to disappear is that HECS debt. It's going to go. And then we're going to go get a house in that order. Debt-free, then get the house. So we're going to stay renting until we've got the money in the bank and go, here you go, here's the money for the house. See ya. Now you can do that. You can get a place for, you know, 200 grand thereabouts, and you can, if you're frugal enough, if you're getting 80 grand a year, you can save 200 grand in 3 years. We're living on less than 40 grand a year now. Right? We're doing that. We're not out in the street begging for money. You know, we're living in an apartment. We're near the beach. We've got a pretty good lifestyle. But there are, you know, it comes at a cost, and the cost is that we don't go to the shay, you know, the shay restaurants. We don't do that. We cook our food. We make sure that we're well within our means, and that's why I'm doing this series on budgeting and commitment. You know, you need to understand that when you make that decision to do something, that you're committed to it. Now, I'm also doing a lifestyle series on diet, and I struggle with diet because I like these ones, right? I love these, and that's still hot. Oh, yum. I'm allowed 2 of those a day. That's it, right? And there's nothing in them. They're basically powdered sugary, whatever they are, with coffee and water. But, you know, there's enough joules and kilojoules in that if I had 5 of them a day, I'd have to walk probably 10 kilometres to get back the calories or the kilojoules or whatever they want to call them. Now, I walk every day. I do that. I do at least a 2-block radius from here. And I walk up and down the stairs enough times during the day that I burn enough calories. And then once a week I do a bushwalk somewhere. You know, it's usually about 10 kilometres that I walk. Walking is the best cardio. It's low impact on your body. It gets everything moving. So if you're struggling with your weight like I am, just start walking. That's it. You don't have to worry about gyms and all this other shit. Just start walking, and that's a decision. You know, and perhaps you can't do that. Well, do it anyway. You know, And that's my attitude. I know I can't go to this thing, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't feel like it. I really feel like shit. But I'm going to do it anyway. Now, you can't cut your credit card up. Do it anyway. Just see what happens once you cut your credit card up. You know, if you're going for it, go for it. You can always get the bloody thing back. You know, you can always go and say, "Oh, look, bloody credit card got destroyed by some idiot." Well, I don't know what happened to it, but here's one bit. Well, those look like scissor cuts. Really? Put them in a plastic bag. No, this is my credit card. Even better, when the shopkeeper says, "You got a credit card," you give him a plastic bag full of the bits. Here it is. Looks like I'm washing dishes tonight, Shape. Yeah, I'm washing the dishes. I got this, Ted. You get the next one. I guess what? I'm never coming back. Good luck with that. Oh, yeah, I'm a bit of an idiot sometimes. You gotta have a laugh sometimes. You gotta think, yeah. Could you imagine the look on the Shay Pierre's? He said, "Where's your credit card?" You hand him that. Here it is. There you go. Give him that one. He'll dive in for it too. Don't you worry. Anything that's money, I'll go after it. Yeah, chuck your hand in that lot for it. Oh, excuse me. I hate being sick. I hate being crook. Yeah. Look, if you're running the car on your credit card, you've got to look at that. Maybe you got two cars. Maybe you don't need two cars. Just thinking about it. And if you sold one of them off, does that mean you get rid of some car payments? Now, if you've got credit card debt and you're paying off a car, that's dumb, right? You don't need that car. If you've got credit card debt and you're making, $600 a month, $600 here and whatever it is, or $80 a week or whatever it is a week, and you're paying that car off and it's a big flash car, I just want you to consider getting a cheapie, and first of all, find a good mechanic. Do that first. So if you're not a good mechanic yourself, go find one, right? They'll be out there, and there are plenty of genuine mechanic, and I know a couple of them here within a stone throw here. There's the guy that used to be behind the battery shop, and I can't think of his name. I can't think of it. And then there's the guy that owns the Matilda down on Government Road there. He's got a tyre and mechanical down there. And he's a good mechanic. And he understands that people around Labrador don't have a lot of money. And he'll fix your car and he'll fix it good. And it'll go until the next time you bring, and he'll fix it. It'll go again. But if you look after it, if you know how to change the plugs and the oil, and I can do a session on that. If someone thinks that's going to, there's plenty of people have done it to show you how to change the oil filter, the spark plugs, and the oil. If that's all you're doing on your car, that'll help. Just every 5,000, just change the oil and the oil filter, and every 10,000 change the spark plugs with it, right? And some of the oils, if you're using a high quality oil, like most of you aren't because you can't afford it, I always put high quality stuff in my vehicles. I always do. It just pays dividends to do it. Excuse me again. Nose is running like a tap. I use a hanky, not tissues. Hankies are way better. You can put them in a wash them, get them back. Tissues, you're throwing them in the bin, and then you're spending more money, throwing them in the bin, spending more money. A hanky, yeah, you buy it once, and you'll have it for 5-6 years, and then you're using it as I don't know, checking the oil dipstick rag or whatever. You use it as a rag. But I got hankies here to 6 years old, 7 years old. I love hankies, and I've given them out. Look, just here, take that, take it away. I never want to see it again. I'd rather they use a hanky than cough all over me or whatever. I'll give them away. I got to say that the car is one of the biggest expenses you got, and if you've got two of them and you've got credit card debt, get rid of one of them. Get rid of one of them, and make do with just one car, right? So let's start with that, because you'll immediately start saving about $1,000 a month, and that $1,000 that you used to spend on the car, pay the credit card off with it, right? So anytime you make a saving, pay it into the credit card. Now, I'm going to talk about gambling real quick. I had an issue with it, right? Because a lot of the people that I mixed with went to the casino, and I used to toddle along with them. And I got a bit addicted to the poker machines because, that's what we used to sit around, drink beer, and play the pokies. And even at the club now, I'll go in and I want to play the pokey. Now, I've got a bit of an issue with that because, at one point in time, I was playing the pokies and I had credit card debt. Now, if you're in that position, you're no different to where I was, okay? And I had to make a decision about that. And what I did was I gave myself a budget for playing the pokies, and it was $20. $20 a week was me pokey money, and that was it. Now, if that won some money, right, and this is if that won some money, right, if I walk in with $20 and if I walked out with 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever, next week it was just $20, and that money that I won went straight into the credit card to pay it off. Now, I had 4 credit cards. I had 4 of them, and each of them were at 10 grand. I was paying enormous amounts of interest. I had 4 credit cards. I had $40,000 of credit card debt when I started, and when I finished, I had 0, right? But I'm not suggesting that you've got $40,000. You might have a $10,000 or $5,000 debt on your credit card. And it's not unusual. It's not unusual to have your credit card. And what happens is you get to 5 grand and the bank goes, beauty, you can pay it, or give him some more. We'll happily increase your limit. And you don't even have to ask them. They just do it. And they send you this little letter with a new card, new shiny card, and look, good news. We just increased your credit limit to 10 grand. And so you think, beauty, I've got 5 grand, and you go and you spend it, and suddenly you got a 10 grand, and you just get yourself into this habit of being able to use it. And we did that, beauty, another 5 grand. We can go to this holiday, and we can go do this, and we can do, and you just fritter it away. It just goes. And you don't even know what you spend it on half the time, you just look back on it all and you think, what have I got to show for it? Oh, yeah, we've got a nice flash new television and some game box for the kids, and and these are all things that are necessary in the modern society. And of course, you're paying the highest possible internet thing that you can get, which is costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Not hundreds, but you don't understand what I'm saying. You've got all this debt because you're living a lifestyle that you can't afford. And let me encourage you to get these things out of your life. If you've got an internet that's costing you more than about, say, $60 a month, then you're paying way too much, right? My internet here costs me $60 a month, and it's unlimited because it's the older ADSL2 service. It's good enough for me. It's got unlimited, and it comes with a free phone. The phone costs us nothing. We don't use it anyway, but it's there. And it's a good service. It never lets us down. We just hook. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got everything we need, and it works. And that's all I care about. But we don't do live streaming. If we want to, we can stream down onto a device. I've got a little thing that I've built, and we can stream down onto our device, and we can just play it back at our leisure. And as soon as it's played back, it wipes it so it can't be copied. So it's got that protection. Wizzo, bizzo, thingo in it. If you've ever got a broken cable machine, people smash them and bust them up, and there's if you go to the junkyard, there's whole bloody piles of these cable. You can get the little decoder in them, right? and you can wire that in to like if you've got more smarts, you can wire that into a little hard drive, and just hook it up, and it'll just work. It'll happily write to the drive, and then when you've watched the movie off the drive through the decoder, it wipes it off the drive. It just erases it. And what's happened is that if you run that through the internet service, it just works. Believe it or not, if you're not running through the cable, that little logic controller board will actually just work. And so we don't live stream videos off the internet. We watch them at our leisure. You know, we put them on the box, and then we just watch them, and then the box deletes them. So you don't need to live stream. There's no need for it. And like if all you're doing on your bloody internet's a bit of banking and I don't know, maybe you're doing porn, whatever you're doing, you don't need to live stream porn, for Christ's sake. You know, why? Why anyway? But why? And there are people out there doing that, and they're paying for it on their credit card. Well, if that's you, you know, go back to your ISP and say, well, I don't need all this shit. What I need is a very basic service that doesn't cost me anything more than $60 a month. And, you know, mobile phones are another thing, this thing, right? Now, Leonie and I both have mobile phones, and that costs us $60 a month for both of them. In fact, it costs us a lot less because Leonie's ran out of its contract, and we actually ended up owning her phone. And they said, well, do you want a new one? And how much is that? Oh, it's going to cost you $104. What, double? No, don't need any of that. Don't buy the new gear. I'm quite happy with this iPhone. This is an iPhone 4. No, it's not. It's an iPhone 5. It's an iPhone 5. Quite happy with it. Works. Does everything I need. It takes phone calls, except it loses appointments. I don't know why. I'll go to the Apple geniuses and say, why does my iPhone lose my appointments? Let's get an answer. Well, the other thing is there's two different, like there's different calendars. There's a calendar on here too that I use, and I can't remember whether I put it into that one or put it into this one. But whichever one I put it into, it just goes off and never comes back. Hang on a sec. Right. Now, I've spoken at length today about different things. I've probably said more than I intended to say in this video. But this is a budgeting video, and in amongst all my waffling, I've given some good tips. Now, if you want to do the cheap car thing, I'm about to do a lifestyle, get rid of your expensive car. Right? Let's do that one. I'll do that right now. So for now, I'm going to say thank you for tuning in to this one. If I can tell you to do one thing, it's to take the $5 and put it in that account where you both have to sign, or where you have to co-sign with somebody else, whether that's your mum or your dad or your sister or whoever, right? That you both to sign. So you make sure you put your $5 a week into it, right? And you'll build that up to $500 before you even think about touching it. Have at least $200 in there before you even think about touching them. And you know, it's 20 weeks to get to $100, so it's 40 weeks. So after a year, for your first year, don't even think about touching that account. Just keep putting the money into it, right? And it'll be handy. You'll be able to get to a point where you go to your sister or your wife or your brother or whoever it is you've got. You say, look, mate, I need to get my car fixed. I need $80. Well, you need your car. Right, okay, $80 comes out. But your next payday, you put it back, right? The first thing you got to do is out of your pay, you put the $80 straight back in. You got to do that. Get yourself into that habit and mentality. And you know what? It's going to change your life. It's going to make things better. Now, if you're doing the paperclip thing, keep doing that. That's in the first video in this series. So go back and watch part 1 of budgeting. This is part 2. Now part 3 of budgeting will be, I think I'll just do another, hopefully a lot shorter video on tips and tricks. Things like standby power. You need to eliminate the standby power devices in your home. You need to get rid of them by putting them on power boards of a very good quality. Don't go with cheap shit. If you're going to buy power boards, you've got to buy ones that are of good quality with a single cut-off switch. That if you've got a TV, a DVD player, a subwoofer, and God knows whatever else. Now, if you've got gear like that and you're not using the DVD, make sure you've got switches above the plugs so that you can turn the DVD off. So it's off at the power. And this power thing's plugged into the wall socket power, right? And it's got a master switch. And as soon as you finish watching the TV or playing with that system, bang, you hit the master switch on the power board. And, all that gear's off and it's not consuming electricity. If you've got a fridge that's more than about 4 or 5 years old, then you've got to consider getting a new fridge. Now, if you've got to do that on credit, don't do it, right? You're better off wearing the power bill. But set up a little sinking fund, or you put $20 a week away in your sinking fund. Use that $5 account, and you know that the $5 is that much and the fridge is this much, right? And when you get to the fridge money, putting the $20 away every week. Now, a new fridge, you can get a really good fridge here in Australia for around $700. Brand new, energy efficient, $700. Now, don't worry about stainless steel doors and it doesn't match the kitchen and all the rest. I'll show you how to get a couple of bits of stainless steel and glue them on the front if you have to. Look, I don't care that the fridge doesn't match the colour of the kitchen. It don't worry me. If it works, that's all I care about. Until I get to a point where I'm budget conscious. And if I've got a new fridge and I want the stainless steel one and blah, 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 if I don't have credit card debt, then I might be happy to put a sinking fund aside till I've got that. But what I'll do is I'll sell my old working fridge on eBay, right? And someone will buy it. They'll need it. And let me tell you, look on eBay first. You can probably pick up that $700 fridge for $500. And if it's secondhand, make sure you get it checked. You set up, if you can't do it yourself, set up a relationship with the electrician guy. There'll be a repair shop somewhere that'll check it for you. He might even have a fridge for you, right? Same with your washing machine. If you haven't got a modern washing machine, you've got to consider replacing that thing and get something that's efficient, because it's going to save you money. It's going to save the planet. It's going to save you money. These are all things you can do to cut your power usage down. Consider cooking, like if you're doing spuds and you've got veggies and whatnot. Now, we don't mind the frozen packets of veggies. They're quite, they're quite good to buy, and they're convenient, and in the end they don't end up costing all that much more than fresh, the fresh veggies. But we buy the frozen packets of mixed veggies with peas and carrots and cauliflower, right? And the way we do them up is we steam them. And if you've got to cook up some spuds real quick, you put your spuds in the bottom and you've got one of those stacked saucepans, right? And the steam comes up from those and goes into the steamer thing on the top. And so you're cooking your spuds and your veggies all in the one pot on the same bit of energy. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you use 2 elements, you're using double the energy for the same amount of food. If you've got a kettle that sounds like all your electrical equipment around it starts to hum, your phone goes bzzz. Well, that kettle's a shit kettle, mate. You turf it and get yourself a kettle that sounds like it wouldn't start up the space shuttle, when you turn it on. All right. Well, I was going to do this as a separate, but I'm going to put it here. Okay, and I'm just going to put a little tip at the front to say that this is at so many minutes into the video. But these tips will save you money. Now, I've mentioned before turning the hot water system. If you've got electric hot water, if you've got a cutout switch that's accessible to you, then use the cutout switch. So what you do is you leave it on at night so that it's completely hot. You use it in the morning for your shower and your bath and all that. And then you got like you eat your breakfast and you get yourself ready and whatever. And usually it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours before you actually get out the door. And if that's you, great. If it's not you, don't worry, because the last thing you do before you walk out the door is flick the switch on the hot water, flick it off. And if you don't have that switch, see about getting an electrician out to install one. Okay, well worth the money, because that thing chews up a heap of energy. And if you don't have a modern one, just get the switch. Right, the switch is way less than a brand new system. It'll cost probably $100 to put it in. A brand new system would be $600 to $700, $800, something like that, and even more for even bigger ones. So just think about what you can do to turn things off when you're not using them. And for us, that meant the difference between a $350 power bill to $170, $150, and then $140. We got our power bill down to $140. We pay our power bill once a quarter. Now some of you are going, my God, $140 a quarter. That's what we spend. We do that. We don't burn high power globes, high power globes. If you've got those, get rid of them. They're a really low wattage, energy efficient globes, right? And you go to the hardware store and you say, listen, I want the lowest wattage I can get away with for these fittings. And you have a collection. What you do is you pull them out, right? You get all your light globes. Don't worry about your fluoros for the moment. They're not bad. Just anything that's just a globe, pull them all out and take them down the hardware. And say, right, I use all my globes. What I'm looking to do is I want energy efficient ones. I want to replace every one of these with the energy efficient equivalent, right? And your hardware guy will help you out. He'll sort you out. And that might cost you about $80. I think for us it cost us about $80 in globes. And you need a couple for spares, right? So make sure you've got a couple of spares. But since we did that, yeah, that was $20. That was where we went from $70 down to, the 170 got us down to, no, it went from 170 to 147 or something. That was the globes in that quarter. That was purely the globes. And the way we got there the rest of the way is that we bought some of these things called bat lights, which are LED portable things, and they open out like that. And we stopped using the light and we used the bat light. And it actually worked out that when you recharge the bat light, it uses way less energy than using the light. Because some of these lights we can't change, right? Some of these are fluoros, and that's your fluoros, and they consume a bit, nowhere near as much as a normal light, but about 10 watts or something like that, or 15 watts if you're unlucky. But if you've got a stack of 4 of them, right, well then that's 4 times 15, that's 60 watts you're using up. And you might not need that. You might be able to get away with your little bat light in the same place. And what you do is you get one that you can put it somewhere and it throws enough light that you can see what you're doing. And we do that. We don't use the big lights unless we need to. Like if you're doing something you need to use the big lights, then use the big lights. But you can use those little portable bat lights just as easy. You can run them around like in your bathroom. Like you use that fan thing and you got one of those big heat lamps in there, right? Well, you don't need all that shit. You need your fan because you've got to deal with the mildew and mold if you don't. But you can use one of those little bat lights instead of the big heat lamp that's in there. And watch how much money it stops getting. Those things are with some more of that. The bank manager's doing these. Every time you turn that light on, the bank manager, yep, Yeah, he's having a shower. Look at that. Yeah, boy, hey, money. I'm not saying don't have a shower. Please have a shower. All right. But I'm saying here, look at what you can do to save power. And you'll help the planet and you'll save money. Okay. That's the tips and tricks bit. So I'm going to put that in at the end of this. And now I'm definitely going to sign this off, and I'm going to get into, let's get into the cheap car. Let's do the cheap car. Righto, so I'm going to sign this off, and thank you very much for watching.